Hey everyone, so this is Rosewood Season 2, Episode 3, titled Eddie and the Empire State of Mind. So basically, it kind of starts off with Rosie and Via going to the lab to, so that Rosie can, do an autopsy on Eddie's exhumed body. And so Via doesn't necessarily want to be in the room when he does this, so she goes upstairs while he does the autopsy. And a little while later, he reveals that Eddie's liver was taken out, or it isn't there. Whether it was done by accident or on purpose, who knows? So Via asks whether or not they can talk to the doctor who did, I think, the original autopsy, and Rosie reveals that the guy is conveniently had committed suicide a week prior to this, and so they can't ask him diddly squat. So they decide then to go to New York City. Hornstock is then taken to a mall by Slade about a girl who might have some information. So looking for a ring of prostitutes. So once in the store, Hornstock and Slade start talking to this this woman behind the counter, and Slade starts asking about scents that he can use as like cologne, basically, like and stuff. But then Hornstock, cuts in and says, you know what? Forget all this shit. Forget all this shit. I really want to. I really want to get this over with and just tell us what we want to fucking know. Basically, she says that they should check the Herschel Club in Brickell. So once they get information, Hornstock's like, I really don't want to go, but Slade's like, you're gonna go anyway, regardless of if you want to or not. So they then go to Via daydreaming about her and Eddie on a plane flying to the honeymoon, when he then starts coughing up blood. Suddenly she comes out of it when Rosie comes on board. So you see this throughout the whole entire episode, where she daydreams, or not really daydreams, but reminisces about things that happened with her and Eddie previously. Hold on, sorry, I'm kind of looking at something. Okay, okay, so back, wait, hold on. Once in New York City, they go to, I think they said it was the 118th precinct where she used to work in New York City, and the captain there brushes off the concerns about Eddie and what may have happened to him, and tells him that instead, go grab a slice of pizza before heading back onto a plane to Miami. But of course, as per usual, they don't do it. They then decide to go to the prep school that Eddie worked at, the private prep school that Eddie worked at, and they meet with the principal, Ned Garrity, and Via asks why there was a 3-week period where Eddie wasn't paid by the school, and Garrity eventually tells them that Eddie got into a fight with him and had punched him, because all of this kid named Oliver Jaycott was being picked on, and he's upset that Garrity wouldn't do more about it. Garrity had swept it under the rug, even though the board wanted to fire Eddie and had Eddie only suspended without pay for 3 weeks. So Via asked to speak with Oliver. So eventually they find Oliver, and Oliver recognizes Via from a picture that Eddie had on his desk while he taught there. And Oliver says that Eddie stood up for him since he saw the whole thing, because what happened, according to Oliver, was that this kid was hitting him or had hit him, and so Eddie had stepped in and and after that he wasn't allowed to talk to Eddie anymore, and that's all we Gal Oliver before his father shows up and picks him up. Via then says they need to keep digging before looking into Garrity, and she has a lead she thinks they can follow, but she wants to do it by herself. She meets with this guy named Anthony, who was Eddie's best friend, and she tells him that she knows Eddie lied to her, and he effectively did too, about about being there being a car accident. So he tries to lie, but then she's like, you know what? This is gonna go one or two ways. Either you tell me what I want to know, and it'll just be two old friends sitting on the park bench, and I think what the fuck is it called? That God, I can't remember the park of the famous that park in New York City. I can't remember what it's called right now. But either way, it's gonna go. So you're gonna tell me what I want to know, sitting in this park, and it's gonna look like two old friends, just talking in this park, or she's gonna dig around. Eventually, he asks what she wants to know, and she tells him that she knows Eddie didn't die from an embolism, and he was murdered. Then you see two guys in a Mustang, at least I think it's a Mustang, watching all this go down. Before it goes back to Via and Anthony talking. Anthony says he didn't want to lie to Eddie, and all he knows is that Eddie was afraid concerning this thing called this person or thing called Rico. She then asks about the car, and he says he still has it. So Rosie and Anthony go to the car, look in the trunk, and Rosie finds breath mints. So he takes them so he can do tests on them or whatever. And Via finds a gun with the serial numbers filed off. Talk about fucking sketchy. Anyway, so Rosie then calls TMI to have her check on the body again to run tests. She tells her to get going, even though she's scared to do it all by herself. So she then goes to get help from Pippi, who's at the studio recording a song with someone. And before TMI can leave undetected, Pippi sees her and asks TMI, or TMI then asks for help. Back in New York City, Via then says that she tried to run the word Rico as a name through the databases, but came back with a huge haystack of guys named Rico. Rosie then tells Via that he ran tests on the breath mints, determined what the mints were made of, that they found. And as they walk, the camera goes back to the guys in the Mustang, and Rosie then confirms that they weren't mints. They were same consistency as steroids. And as they're walking, Via tells Rosie that Eddie had this shirt in his wardrobe that wasn't at all the usual type of shirts that he wore. And so she ran the logo on the shirt, and it came back to this local boxing gym. So Via and Rosie go to that boxing gym to talk to people in there. In Miami, Hornstock and Slade are at the Herschel Club, and Hornstock still doesn't want to be there, and it's like, oh boy. Anyway, back at the gym, Via then says says she didn't know that Eddie stepped in the boxing gym, because usually what he did for physical activity was outside of. Never mind, I'm not gonna get into that. The usual physical activity that he got for exercise was pick up basketball games and stuff like that. So it didn't make sense why he would all of a sudden come to a local boxing gym. The head of the gym brushes Via off, saying a cop isn't welcome there, let alone a woman. Rosie then chimes in about asking about a guy named Rico, but the guy brushes them off again. And Via asks the guy nearby, but he still doesn't reveal anything. As they leave, he badmouths Via, and Rosie, in a roundabout way, threatens him. Back outside, Via confronts the guys in the car that are following them, and they tell Rosie and Via to stop looking into Eddie's murder. She tries to get the names, but they won't give them, obviously, before they drive away. At the hotel room, TMI calls and informs Rosie that Eddie had multiple injuries that healed over time that were re-breaks. And Pippi tells Rosie that the steroids aren't regular steroids. She found something added to it. I can't remember what the thing that was added to it was, but something was added to it that's normally used by vets, like veterinarians. They can't find out how the stuff got into Eddie's system because the usual injection sites for steroids aren't on his body. So, as Rosie asks them to, run the camera over Eddie's scalp, Via comes up and says she needs to, see this and everything. So they finally find the injection site in his scalp. And after that, once they hang up the phone, Via's like, Rosie, you need to leave and go back to Miami because we cut the attention of a lot of dangerous people when they exhumed Eddie's body. Need to get but he's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. So goes back to Miami for a little bit. Horselock still isn't happy about being in the club. God, like a damn broken record. Like, oh my God. Like, normally I love Hornstock, but like, shut up. Like, you're a damn broken record. Like, get over it. Clearly, you're not gonna go anywhere for a while. So either you suck it up or get fired or some shit or something. I don't know, but I mean, so it's one of those options. Like, either shut up or get fired. It's like really chopping my nerves here on stock. Like, anyway. So a guy named Cameron walks by, and Slade forces him to sit down at the table at the top. Slade threatens Cameron to not take the money Slade gives to Lucia to read to him, because he has her read to him once in a while, since he can't sleep at night sometimes, and he gives her money for doing that. And apparently this Cameron guy has been taking Lucia's money, all the money that Slade gives her every time she reads to him. And so Slade is like, you're not going to do it anymore. You understand me? And basically Slade threatens Cameron about it, and Cameron's like, okay, fine, I won't do it anymore. Hornstock then gets a text after Cameron leaves to another part of town and takes Slade with him. Back to the lab, a masked or like a hooded guy breaks into the lab, points again at TMI and Pippi, and orders them to step away from the body so that he can take it. Then in New York, Via and Rosie break into the gym, find a book with people's middle initial and the last words of their social security number and a book. Or in that book, and then Eddie's is in there. So then Rosie finds a bill from a company named Rico. That's why they couldn't find a person named Rico, because it wasn't really a person. It was a company. So, Via then looks up Rico and finds that Oliver G. Cott's father is the head of the company, and the one Eddie was afraid of. The money given to the gym by Rico was supposed to be used for new equipment because that's what it was billed as. But Via then says that she noticed that the equipment in there is older than 30 years old. So they then hear someone coming into the gym, and it's just a guy named Benny who was there before when they were in there. And Benny reveals that Eddie didn't work for J-Cot, he fought for J-Cot in high-stakes matches. And Benny says that he used to do the same thing, but ever since he started taking those steroids, those mint steroids, he has gotten a lot of physical side effects due to that, and can't fight anymore. And Via is looking confused about why Eddie would fight for extra money. And then she flashes back to a moment that she and him shared. And it turns out Eddie didn't really use the steroids at all. So clearly that's like, so that's what they find out from Benny. Via then asks if Benny could get them into the mansion that the fights take place in. And Benny was like, well, there's a $50,000 buy-in, so that's the only way you can really do that, is if you get a $50,000 buy-in. Back at the lab, the guy is dragging the body away when Hornstock and Slade surprise him and hit him on the back of the head. Hornstock then tells Pippi and Tiamani to go upstairs before he breaks glass, holds the broken shard to the guy's neck, and threatens him to tell him what they want to know, or else he's gonna, gut him like a fish, basically. And this whole scene reminded me of Voight and Chicago PD, and I'm just like, are they trying to emulate Voight with by making Hornstock act like Voight? Because if they are, they're not doing a very good job of it, because Voight is 10 times scarier than Hornstock, because Hornstock is the big old ass teddy bear. So he's just a big ass teddy bear to me. Voight is literally 10 times scarier than him. So if you're trying to emulate Voight, you're not doing a good job of it. Anyway, so the guy reveals that another guy in New York City told him to get rid of the body because of the drugs. So Hornstock then tells the guy to call this other dude up, who hired him, and say in his happy voice that he got rid of the body, and after that they will talk about things. In New York City, Via then goes to Rosie's room the next morning and finds someone in there. Rosie gives him an envelope before the guy leaves, and Via's like, well, what the fuck's going on? Rosie explains that he paid the guy that was just in the room to get out of the fight, and he wired $50,000 to J-Cot earlier that morning to replace the guy that he just paid to not go into the fight. Then Rosie and Via talk about how they're going to get in. Rosie's going to get in through the gate, Via's going to get in through the pool party by the pool. At the house, they get into the place just fine, and Via says that she recognizes the photos that Eddie took in the house, and basically they go their separate ways from there. Rosie goes to the fight that he is being called up to start, and Via walks around the place and as she does that, she gets spotted, but then she incapacitates the guy before moving on. Back at the fight, J-Cot sees Rosie, which causes Rosie to hit the guy he's fighting, smacking the Adam's apple. I'm like, damn, that must hurt. Elsewhere, Via gets into the basement and finds the steroids when Rosie comes in and tells her that J-Cot spotted him. Via fiends leaving with him, and once Rosie leaves the room, she closes the door behind him and locks the door. And that is when Jacob walks in with a gun of his own and counts what Eddie did. Via says she's a good enough shot to take him down with her before before they hear shots and everything. The DEA comes in, and the two guys that were following them were actually DEA agents. And so that's when they hear shots. Via got shot in the arm, Jacob got shot in the stomach. And outside, the DEA reveals that Eddie was part of the operation the whole time before he got killed. And the guys following Rosie and Via just wanted them out of the way so they wouldn't get hurt. Back in Miami, T.M.I. tries to get Pippi back after Pippi stepped in front of the gun earlier. But Pippi tells T.M.I. to let her go so that she could find her own way back, which I'm glad that T.M.I. did, because you know, if it were the other way around, where Pippi was the one who cut off the engagement instead of Pippi, or instead of T.M.I., then, you know, I would understand why, you know, I can understand. T.M.I. would be, you know, hurt and stuff, and would want to find her way back to Pippi. So I'm glad that T.M.I., you know, let Pippi go. Vienna and Rosie talk on the plane, heading back to Miami, saying that, you know, things are just gonna go back to normal and everything. And then Hornstock walks in on Slade writing up a report about what happened at the lab, even though Slade said he wasn't going to write it up. Hornstock is like, you know, if you want to write it up, fine, but I'm not gonna take this report up to whoever needs to be taken up to, because I do it again for the people I love. Like, I'll do whatever I have to do for the people I love, no matter what. So he tells Slade that he'll have to do it himself or find someone for it to do it for him. I'm like, damn, you go. Like, shit. Then Via happens to come back to the station at that moment and gets a new case with Slade before she reminisces about her and Eddie again. So that's pretty much the whole episode. And next week on Rosewood, a guy is murdered and it looks like they are going treasure hunting, which I'm always like a big fan of, like, puzzles and mysteries, and like figuring out puzzles and stuff, and going from doing treasure hunts and everything. So I really like doing that and stuff. So, but someone tells me it's not going to be real treasure, whatever treasure that means. It's not like in the Goonies where there was actually fucking a treasure ship. It's not. I don't think it's gonna be like that. I think it's gonna be like millions of dollars, and that's it. Like less than like $10 million. And it's gonna be less than that. So something tells me that's what's gonna happen. And to be honest, I really wasn't expecting this particular episode to, you know, to find out what actually happened to Eddie. I really wasn't expecting that, because I figured that we were just only gonna get like bits and pieces of information about what happened, because that's what's always happened on other shows, so I figured that's what's gonna happen here, but I was wrong. I guess maybe the writers thought that they couldn't really keep the mystery of what happened to Eddie last longer than the summer hiatus, because if they did, people would get upset. So maybe that's what happened, but who knows. Let's see. The whole Gerald situation, maybe that is what's gonna, you know, keep that maybe that's what's gonna last the entire season. Who knows? But I'm actually kind of excited to see more about Gerald and everything, and I'm thinking Donna is gonna find out that Gerald actually did commit the crimes that he was accused of and convicted for. So that's what I'm thinking, is that she's gonna find that out, and she's gonna be hurt by it. That's what I'm thinking is gonna happen. But who knows? Maybe he will get let out on false DNA testing. Like he's gonna get it. Like they're gonna test the DNA or whatever. It's gonna show that he's not the one who actually did it, even though he's the one who did actually do it. And then he's gonna end up hurting Donna on the outside or something. I don't know. Who knows? But that's all I'm really gonna say about as far as predictions go for Gerald. And I'm really looking forward to Pippi. I'm really looking forward to Pippi being like doing stuff on her own, and finding out who she is without TMI anymore. So that she can, so that if she wants to go back to TMI, she can, go back on her own terms, and so that they can take it slow, and then they will probably end up taking it slow, from then on. So, which, I'm not going to be that mad if she does, because, you just got your heart broken, so, it's not, I'll do the same thing too, but, that said, I will see you guys next week on Rosewood. Hit like if you like this video, hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and, don't hesitate to comment below about this episode, previous episodes, and future episodes, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!